Okay, welcome back. Last time we made our way through all my favourite Pokemon of Generation 2, so Gold, Silver, Crystal, Heart Gold, and Soul Silver, and today we're going to be starting with Gen 3, Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald, Omega Ruby, and Alpha Sapphire. So, first things first, obviously, is the normal type. And immediately I'm discounting Azurill. It's not Azurill, it's not Delkai, it's not Spinder, it's not Swablu, it's not Castform. I do like how Kecleon, they included the second alternate form of Kecleon, which I think appeared in the anime once, and is also like a shopkeeper in Mystery Dungeon. Which begs the question, why is this this purple Kecleon exists. Why is this not shiny Kecleon? As opposed to the actual shiny just changing, like, the red bit on its stomach to be blue. Just making it purple would be so much better. Like, I genuinely do not understand why they didn't do that. However, my favourite Gen 3 normal type is not Kecleon either. It is either Zangoose, because Zangoose has a lot good going for it. It's pretty strong, it's pretty fast. I think it's fairly okay defensively as well, but at the same time, I don't think I've ever actually used one on a team in a playthrough. Similarly, I would love to say Slacking, but if I'm being 100% honest, the existence of Truant, much like in general, holds Slacking back from being a Pokemon that I really like. I like Vigoroth more than I like Slacking. And Swellow is probably a shoo-in for Flying types later on. So my answer here is actually Exploud. Like, Exploud it's available fairly early. Well, Whisper's available fairly early. You don't get Exploud until about level 40, I think. And it doesn't really excel in any particular way. But I don't know, Exploud's just a Pokemon that I've always quite liked, without a whole lot of reason behind it. I think it does have a pretty good move pool, and it's pretty okay at most things, so I don't think you can really go all that wrong with one. And in general, I do think we're kind of like, I don't know if it's meant to be, I think it's meant to be a Howler Monkey, or something. I don't know, I think it's kind of cool looking just in general. Okay, moving on to Fire types, and this is a two-horse race. Or should I say, a two-tortoise and camel race. It's either Camerupt or Torkoal, and honestly, I kind of go back and forth on which I prefer, because they are both pretty good. They both have... Obviously, Torkoal has the advantage of having better physical defense. Torkoal has better physical defense, and is only one, and it obviously doesn't have the quad weakness to water, but Camerupt just looks so cool. Like, these two are my 1-2 for this. I just don't know which I'd prefer. I think I've used Torkoal in playthroughs more, so I'll go with Torkoal, but Camerupt is, like, right there behind it. It is so close. Oh, this is another case where I might come back at a later time and have changed my mind. But Camerupt is also a fan. I'm also a huge fan of Camerupt. Camerupt does also have another shot later with the ground types, but honestly, I can't think of some ground types off the top of my head, so it probably isn't winning in there. Okay, so water type. So we have the Mudkip line, the Lotad line, Wingull, Pelipper, Surskit. It's not going to be Surskit. Carvanha and Sharpedo, Wailmer, Wailord. Honestly, okay, it's not winning, but I would love to give an honourable mention to Gorbis, because when I did Platinum on the main channel, I will be doing a replay of Platinum at some point, I don't know when. I had randomized abilities, and I had a Speed Boost Gorbis, and it was so good. Genuinely, Speed Boost Gorbis was kind of insane. It helped me out for a very long time before it tragically died. Okay, so now the question. Okay, so let's narrow this down, because Swampert, Ludicolo, Sharpedo, and Crawdaunt are probably my top 4 for this. I've never been the biggest fan of Milotic, to be totally honest, and Kyogre is disqualified on account of being a legendary. Okay, these two are water dark types. Which one do I like more? I like Sharpedo more than Crawdaunt. And I think I like Ludicolo. I think Ludicolo wins here. I think Ludicolo genuinely might win here. Unless it wins for Grass type. Does it win for Grass type? Okay, let me just think about this one a bit more. I know I like Ludicolo more than I like Swampert. And I like Swampert more than Sharpedo, and I like Sharpedo over Crawdaunt. So therefore, Ludicolo wins. Okay, so, Grass types. And, okay, the following statement will probably be a contentious one, especially because I mentioned Mystery Dungeon, Explorers of Time and Explorers of Darkness, and Guildmaster Wigglytuff for this. However, I remember Grovyle plays an important role in that game's story. I have not played this game in about 14 years, or however long. I do not remember this game's story very well, and I just don't really care all that much about Grovyle. Like, I know Ash had a really cool one in the anime, and I know that it has a very important role in the plot of Explorers of Time and Explorers of Darkness. But I don't know, I've just never liked Grovyle very much. Trico, great. Love Trico. Love Sceptile as well. Roselia, no. Actually, Shiftry is really cool. Not as cool as Sceptile, though. Breloom probably wins for Fighting type. Sorry, Cacturne. I will say, I do like Cacnea in the anime, and Cacturne is kind of cool looking. Cradily, Lileep and Cradily, I didn't really ever think about, and neither did I think about Tropius. I think I'm going with Sceptile for this, because it's the first final evolution of the Grass type where I think it's my favourite. I think Sceptile might be my favourite final form of the Hoenn stars. I'll have a bit more time to think about that by the time I get over here, but, you know. For now, I'm going to say Sceptile, because Sceptile is fast, it's strong. Obviously, I know it learns it as Grovyle, but Leaf Blade is such a cool signature move that, you know, eventually a lot of Grass types got, including Shiftry, actually. But yeah, Sceptile is fantastic. I also do have a Trico plush just, like, sat on my bookcase, so just, like, obviously there's the camera so you can't see, but I do have a Trico plush up there. There's also a Serperior, and also, like, two little kind of coin bank things that I've had since I was a kid of Wartortle and Ivysaur, but I never saw a Charmeleon one. So, I don't know. I never really used them, I just thought they looked cool. Anyway, moving on to Electric type. And this is I'll be honest, this is a no contest. Like, it's always going to be Manectric here. Like, Plusle and Minun, I think Plusle and Minun are okay. Credit to them, in Pokemon Ranger, these Pokemon are amazing. I love Plusle and Minun in Pokemon Ranger. Like, in Pokemon Ranger, the base one, the first one, they are your partner Pokemon, and they are amazingly helpful. I should note, you get Minun if you're playing as a boy, and Plusle if you're playing as a girl. Oh, but they are your starter Pokemon, and they function the same, if I recall correctly. I haven't played Pokemon Ranger in a very long time either. But, like, they are really cool. But Manectric, it's fast, it's pretty strong. I remember learning that it learned Flamethrower, and that was very helpful. And fun fact, in my save on Omega Ruby, my Manectric that I trained, was actually my contest star Pokemon. I had it win every contest. So it was... I spent a lot of time training that Manectric. It also has a pretty cool shiny, which is really cool. Although, to be totally honest, I do like how shiny Electrike turns into the Manectric kind of blue. However, I do kind of wish the shiny... Like, I love shiny Manectric, but I kind of wish it turned into the Electrike shade of green. You know, but at the same time, you know, we don't need more green shinies, because that's an entire thing that people get very mad about sometimes. Okay, moving on to Ice types. This is very easy for me. This is Walrein. To be honest, I discounted Walrein from the Water type one, because I knew that I liked a lot of the water types over Glalie and Snorunt, and obviously I'm not having two of the same evolution in the same thing for it, because I think that's kind of cheating. And also I never really thought about Cast Form, and Regice is legendary, so it is going to be Walrein. However, even if it wasn't winning by default, I just adore Walrein. It's one of my... Like, it's probably a top 10, maybe even a top 5 ice type for me just in general. Like, obviously, once again, it is a pretty slow Pokemon. It's deceptively fast, though. It's faster than I think it is, but it's still pretty slow. And it's got decent bulk to it. It has pretty solid move coverage. It is just a generally really helpful Pokemon to have. And whenever I get the chance to use one in a playthrough, I'm always really happy about it. Because it's a Pokemon that I've always just been so fond of. Like, I mean, there was a time when I was a kid where I liked Glalie more, but Walrein very quickly took that spot. I'm a huge fan of Walrein, so yeah, that wins for Ice-type here. The real question is if I like it more than Lapras, but honestly, that's something for future me to have to think about. Okay, moving on to fighting types. So we have Combusken, Blaziken, Breloom, Hariyama, or Medicham. And honestly, I think Breloom takes first. Because, honestly, same reason as with Walrein with ice types. Same reason as with Walrein for water type. I discounted Breloom for grass types because I knew that I would prefer it over most of these, and the following statement may also be a contentious one. I like Combusken more than Blaziken. Like, I don't know why. Blaziken was a Pokemon that, for a while, was my favorite Pokemon. Like, Blaziken was actually, I'll explain this more later on. For now, I'm gonna say Breloom, though. Because it gets good move coverage. I mean, it doesn't really, but it does what you need it to do. You have Mach Punch, you have Leech Seed, you have Effect Spore. I'm thinking specifically in terms of Gen 3. I know that Toxic Heal is like a thing later on. I know it gets Spore by level up. You get Sky Uppercut, I think. You get Mach Punch. You get Headbutt. You get a good few like things to really just keep it going. And Breloom just looks really cool. So I'm gonna say Breloom for this. Moving on to poison types. I'm so sorry, Dustox. It's never gonna be... Dustox, you ain't winning on this one. And unfortunately, neither is Roselia, but I do really like Roselia. I don't want Roselia not appearing here to make it seem like I don't like the Pokemon. Roselia is great. I love Roselia. And by that, I mean I loved it once Gen 4 rolled around. However, having used a Roselia in an actual playthrough of Gen 3, it was surprisingly less awful than I was expecting it to be. Considering Poison was a physical type in Gen 3, because of physical special split. And, it pretty much only gets grass moves by level up. I think the only non-grass moves it gets by level up are, like, Sweet Scent, Poison Sting, and Growth or something. It's not the best Pokemon in Gen 3, but it was surprisingly less awful than I expected it to be, but Giga Drain in Gen 3 only having 5 PP is definitely a huge pain. Fortunately, they buffed it for Gen 4. Okay, moving on to which one we're actually choosing. So this comes down to Swalot or Seviper. Design-wise, I love Swalot's shiny. I love the shade of blue that it turns. I think that's really cool. However, Swalot is kind of cool. I like how Swalot's kind of like a more solid form of muck, in a sense. It also has like a kind of noodly mustache, in a sense. But no, it's Seviper. Seviper is so cool. It is a giant snake with a knife for a tail. That is cool. And also Team Rocket had one in the anime, and it was cool. It's also like eternally throwing hands with Zangoose, and that's also kinda cool. Yeah, Seviper wins here. Like, I do quite like Swalot, and I really like Roselia, but it's gonna be Seviper on this one. So, moving on to Ground type. Okay, so this is a difficult choice to make. Okay, so, do I like Marshtomp more than Swampert? I think I might like Marshtomp more than Swampert, but I think that's just because every time it has like a 3D model, I think Marshtomp always just looks like a silly little guy. He's just kind of goofy. So I think Marshtomp could win out here, but at the same time, I did mention earlier that I absolutely adore Camerupt, but also Flygon. Flygon is, I know this is not a new sentiment, but Flygon potentially being Bug Dragon would have been the coolest thing. That, and also, in Gen 2 they introduced a literal Dragonfly Pokemon, and then gave it an evolution in Gen 4, and that isn't Bug Dragon. But I will complain about Yanmega when I get to Gen 4 bug types, won't I? I say that I do really like Yanmega. Okay, so, now the question is, Marshtomp, Swampert, Camerupt, or Flygon? This is an extremely close call between all four, but I think I'm gonna go with Flygon for this. Because I think I should mention it, I think Flygon is really cool. I remember when I was a kid, I had a debate with a friend about this. It's because they were insistent that Flygon was better than Salamence, and no, Salamence clears, I'm afraid. I mean, you can like Flygon more if you want, but Salamence wins. Also, Salamence is going to be the pick for Dragon type. Minor spoiler alert, I suppose. However, I will say, I don't dislike Flygon, I think it's cool. It looks cool. It has a really cool shiny. I love its shiny, because it gets, like, blues and oranges. That looks really nice. Flygon looks cool. It's pretty fast. Getting one is a bit of a pain, because Trapinch hits hard, but is hilariously slow and is pretty frail. Then it gets way faster, but gets weaker as Vibrava, but also gains the Dragon typing. But as Flygon, you get the best of both worlds about it. So I think Flygon is gonna take Ground type here. Not to disparage Marshtomp, Swampert, or Camerupt, though I love all three of those Pokemon as well. Okay, so Flying type. This is an extremely obvious one. It's going to be Swellow. Swellow is maybe, I have to say maybe, because there's one or two others that are very close. But like, Swellow is, as far as I'm concerned, maybe like the quintessential Route 1 bird, which is weird because it isn't even on Route 1. You can't get one until, I want to say you can find one as a rare encounter in Petalburg Woods, but generally it's closer. Generally it's on the route kind of east of Rustboro, like on the way to the Rustuff Tunnel where you can find Skitty and Nincada. But yeah, Swellow is fantastic. I love Swellow. Like, it looks cool. It has a cool cry, it has good move pool, it's fast. Okay, it doesn't have the best move pool, but realistically, it needs normal type moves and flying type moves, and it gets both of those pretty early on, and they're pretty solid. You can also teach it Steel Wing if you really need to. It would take, you know, give it some coverage against rock and ice types. So, Swellow just looks really cool. Also, this is just an aside. Like, Swellow was winning this regardless. However, I would like to give special mention to a couple of OSBs. Like, I think Altaria is kind of cute looking, but like, otherwise, nah, Swellow it's Swellow. But even without all of that, there's that bit in the Battle Frontier part of the anime where Ash is battling, I think he's fighting Tucker? Wait, is it? I don't remember if it's when he's fighting Tucker or when he's fighting Liza and Tate. There's the bit where Pikachu is like flying on Swellow, and they basically just like use thunder to make Swellow look even cooler, and yeah, it's a great bit. I barely remember the context, but I remember that when I was a kid, it was one of the coolest things I'd ever seen. So yeah, Swellow absolutely wins for Flying type. Moving on to Psychic type. Okay, Gardevoir is probably going to win for Fairy type. It's not Claydol. It's not Metachan. Metagross... Metagross is pretty okay. Like, I'm kind of 50-50 on Metagross as a Pokemon. It's definitely not my favorite pseudo, but at the same time, it might win for Steel type, so I'll put Metagross on the back burner for now. Solrock and Lunatone. I do quite like these, but I think I'm going to go with Grumpig on this one. Like, I know, statistically, why would I ever choose Grumpig over Metagross and Gardevoir? They're right there. But, I don't know, I think I just like the design of Grumpig a bit more. I know that it's literally just, oh, it's a pig that can stand up and has psychic powers. But like, I don't know, I like the kind of evolution that it has from Spoink. Also, it means that, you know, it survived the probable nightmare that being a Spoink is. But yeah, like, I think it's just genuinely a super cool Pokemon. I wish it was better. Like, it's my favorite Psychic type in Gen 3, but I wish it was better. Like, it gets somewhat okay moves, it has pretty okay stats. Once again, it's not the fastest, but it can get the job done. I also, in the same playthrough of Platinum, where I had the Speed Boost Goreburst, I also had a Grumpig, which was also pretty handy for a while. In that playthrough, I also had a Heracross, which was great. And I also had a Wynaut, and I had a Wynaut actually save that run. And basically, I was fighting Vulcaner, and I was genuinely in danger of having my team completely wiped out. I think it was by a Yanmega or something. Or was it a Cresselia? I know it was one of the two. I think it might have been the Cresselia, and I Destiny Bonded using this Wynaut, and it may have saved the entire run. It was pretty great. So I want to give Wynaut a special mention there, and Grumpig is staying as my choice for Psychic type. Bug type. This is, Gen 3 was a bit disappointing for bugs, and therefore I'm going to go with Armaldo just by default, I think. Because I do quite like Wurmple. I think Wurmple is a cute, goofy little guy. And I think Beautifly is kind of cool. I did have Amethyst for Beautifly in a couple of playthroughs, and when I got to the end of that playthrough of Platinum, I had a Beautifly on the final team when I went into the Elite Four rematches, and this Beautifly was doing damage. Like, I was a huge fan of it, but it's gotta be Armaldo. Armaldo is a pretty solid fossil Pokemon. Once again, it is really slow. No, but it hits really hard, it has pretty good physical defense, and in general, I don't know, I kind of just vibe with its design. I like I don't know, it's a weird one, but I like the design. And for it. Moving on to rock types. So, this is Nosepass, Aggron. Okay, Armaldo is out, it's not going to be Cradily, it's not going to be Relicanth. So this narrows it down to Solrock or Lunatone, or Aggron. But I think Aggron wins for Steel. I think Aggron is my winner for Steel. I'm gonna go with Lunatone. Lunatone is also part Psychic type, so obviously it was included for both. And Lunatone just looks kind of cool. I like Solrock and Lunatone as a duo. And how you fight Liza and Tate together, and they're a double battle. And then they have Solrock and Lunatone as their two Pokemon, because the Sun and the Moon. Wait, can you even get Solrock and Lunatone in Pokemon Sun and Moon? I haven't played Sun and Moon in a few years. I don't remember if you can. Hang on, I'm gonna quickly go and check that right now. Just went and checked. You, for some reason, cannot catch a Solrock or a Lunatone in Pokemon Sun or Moon. That's a bit weird, but hey, I guess that may have been an oversight. And also, I guess, you know, they probably want to focus more on Solgaleo and Lunala, but whatever. So yeah, Solrock, Lunatone is also a Pokemon that really caught me off guard the first time I saw one hit me with Ice Beam, because I did not think it would get Ice Beam, but to be fair, I probably should have expected Flamethrower from Solrock, because, you know, Sol, the sun. I'll be totally honest, it took me a little while to click that they were the sun and the moon. I maybe wasn't the smartest child. But also, in general, I do like Lunatone. It looks really nice. I do wish its shiny was a little bit better, like the shiny just changing the eye to be blue. Like, that's a little bit disappointing, but honestly, that's my only real complaint with it. But yeah, Lunatone looks cool, and I quite like it. Moving on to Ghost types, this is a This is a very easy choice. I do like Dusclops, I do like Duskull, but it's Banat. It is Banat all the way. Banat is one of my favorite ghost types, just period. And, yeah, I am a huge fan of Banat. Like, I do think it wasn't the best in Generation 3. When I first played, Dusclops was by far my preferred one. But Banat, it looks cool, I love its design. It has one of my favourite Mega evolutions, minor spoiler alert, that it may be winning for gimmick form as well with its Mega evolution. And I just think it was really cool, and then it benefited a lot, I think, from a physical special split, because even though it is a physical attacker, and Shadow Ball was a physical move in Gen 3, the introduction of Shadow Claw, I think, just made a lot more sense for it. And also, you know, high crit chance is really solid. And also, Shadow Sneak is pretty good. It gets Prankster, I believe, especially. I know it gets Prankster with its Mega Evolution. So you can even have it just Will-O-Wisp things, and then its Mega Evolution has like base 180 attack or something. It's kind of insane. It's either base 160 or 180. It's something ridiculously high. Okay, moving on to Dragon types. As I mentioned earlier, this is Salamence. So, Salamence is up there. It's not my number one favorite pseudo-legendary, but it's probably top 3, maybe top 2. Like, it goes back and forth with a couple of the other ones, but top 1 is, like, locked in. We'll see that a bit later on. Not in this video, but, like, a bit later on in the series. But yeah, Salamence is fantastic. I wish getting one was a little bit less of a pain, because getting Bagon can be a bit of a hassle. But at the same time, I do think it makes perfect sense to put the pseudo-legendary, like, at the end of the game, so you can go and get one. Like, after you beat Wallace, or Juan if you're playing Emerald, you can go and get it. You can get Salamence before you go and fight the Elite Four. Honestly, I might even recommend it. But it is kind of just a little bit of a pain to get one, because you need to catch Bagon, and you can get that between like level 25 and 30. Then you have to evolve it into Shelgon, then you have to grind it up to level 50. But honestly, I mean, realistically, you get Dragonite at 55, you get Hydreigon at 64, you get Gudra at like 50, I think. I mean, to be fair, Metagross is also a pseudo-legendary, and I think you get that at like level 45. You get Garchomp at 48, which is kind of insane. Like, you can have a Garchomp before the final gym in Gen 4, but I will get to that when I get to that. Salamence looks cool. I've always thought its wings were super cool looking as well, and it has a potential, possibly rare example of a good green shiny. I really like shiny Salamence. Do I like it more from the base form? Maybe not, but I think it's cool looking if nothing else. And yeah, it hits like a train. It looks cool. It's pretty fast. It's pretty bulky. It's basically a fantastic, great all-rounder. You can't realistically go wrong with a Salamence. So, moving on to Dark types. And this is a comically easy choice. It is Absol. Absol is a Pokemon that, for a lot of people, probably also thought it was from Gen 4. Because, it's available as a rare encounter on, like, 2 routes in the game. And it is a Pokemon that definitely benefited a lot from the physical special split. Because, like, when the physical special split came into effect, it got a lot more physical attacks, where in Gen 3, all of its Dark-type moves were, you know, special attacks. And I think the most powerful Dark move it got was, like, maybe Bite? Because I don't think it naturally learned Crunch. Night Slash didn't exist yet. And I don't think it even got Super Luck in Gen 3. But when Gen 4 came out, like, you got Super Luck for higher crit chance. You had access to Shadow Claw, you had access to Night Slash, you had Psycho Cut, you had Slash, you had Aerial Ace. I know Aerial Ace isn't... I know Aerial Ace is a different type of move, because, you know, Slash, Night Slash, Shadow Claw, those ones. Those are all, like, high crit chance, and with Super Luck, I think that just makes it happen even more. Yeah, Absol looks super cool, love Absol. and I think it was one of the biggest winners from the physical special split. Similarly, I think Hitmonchan benefited a lot, and I think Sneasel also benefited a lot. Sneasel also benefited from an evolution that we'll see in Generation 4, but I'll get to that when I get to that. So, moving on to Steel types. And this is a 2-horse race. I am so sorry, Mawile. Like, I like Mawile, but I don't think it's winning here. And I like Aggron more than Metagross. Aggron is so cool. Like, yes, I know Metagross is like the de facto Pokemon everyone loves from Gen 3, but nah, I've always liked Aggron. It just looks so cool, and I don't really have much of an explanation for it beyond it looks super cool. I'm also quickly starting to realize maybe a lot of the Pokemon I like in Gen 3 are kind of slow. I mean, Lunatone is middling speed, Armaldo is slow. Actually, you know what? Most of these are kind of like averagey speeds. And then you have these, then you have like Sceptile, Manectric, Flygon, and Swellow, who are just kind of lightning. And then also Salamence, because Salamence is like base 100 speed and like 130 attack or something. Salamence is good, by the way. But yeah, Aggron, obviously, it is slow, it is weak to fighting, it's quad weak to fighting, it's quad weak to ground, and it's weak to water. But honestly, I will forgive all of that because it looks super sick. It has a good physical attack stat, made even better in Gen 4 when Iron Head became a move. And honestly, I would be lying if I said it didn't have one of my favorite cries of any Pokemon. Like, I don't know, I just really like Aggron. It is, like, it's a Pokemon where I probably I don't really end up using it all that often in a playthrough. Because I'll be honest, leveling up an Aron is a bit of a pain, but at least I can get it in the main game, unlike Metagross, where I have to beat the game for almost every appearance it's in. And if I'm being totally honest, I've always just liked Aggron more than Metagross. This isn't me trying to be like, oh, yeah, I like the slightly less popular one, because Aggron is still popular. Anyway, moving on to Fairy type, and once again, Azurill, no chance. I think the last time I did this, I said Mawile won, but since then, I've done another playthrough of Gen 3, and I know Fairy type didn't exist in Gen 3, but I used a Gardevoir in that playthrough, and Gardevoir is kind of insane in Gen 3. Like, honestly, I think I could have probably beaten most of the Elite Four with just Gardevoir. However, if I was playing Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, it would have been even easier. Because, realistically, in Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, you can basically just approach the Elite Four and just blast all of Sydney's Pokemon. You blast all of Sydney's Pokemon with Moonblast, Shadow Ball all of Phoebe's, then you can just like Thunderbolt and Psychic accordingly on Glacier's team, you Moonblast Drake's team, and then you just wander on up and fight Steven. Even then you have a pretty solid shot at winning. And then even though, you know, Fairy type does give you a weakness to Steel. So yeah, Gardevoir is kind of insane. Also, another credit where it's due, I really like shiny Gardevoir. Even better when it Mega Evolves. When it's... Actually, I'll quickly jump ahead. Actually, no, I won't. I won't quickly jump ahead because we're nearly there anyway. Okay, moving on to starter Pokemon. Okay, so, this is a tough call, because Trico, obviously, I like Trico. I do have that plush of Trico that I mentioned earlier. I'm not the biggest fan of Grovyle. I like Sceptile. It already did win for grass types. Also, congratulations to Sceptile for breaking the Oddish-Line's streak of wins at 2, because, well, that's all of them. Okay, so, Trico, I like Trico, I like Torchic, and I like Mudkip. Blaziken is a Pokemon that I've kind of fallen off of, which is weird, because when I was a kid, it was maybe my favorite Pokemon. It was the first Pokemon I ever trained to level 100, and for that, I really kind of connected with it. I don't know, like, Gen 4 came out, and I kind of just lost interest in Blaziken. that may or may not be to do with another starter Pokemon in Generation 4, but I don't think that may have been the case, but I don't know. And then Mudkip is fantastic. I love Mudkip. The Mudkip line is pretty great across the board. So, I think what I'm going to do is go for my favourite of average quality here and go with Mudkip. Because I'm not the biggest fan of Blaziken these days. I'm not the biggest fan of Grovyle, but I like the Mudkip line all the way through, so I'm going to go with Mudkip. So, favorite gimmick form. This is kind of a two-horse race, because as I alluded to in the previous episode when I said Houndoom, I would like to say I love the Mega Evolutions for the Hoenn starters. They all look super cool, and also, shiny Mega Gardevoir looks so cool. I love how the entire dress turns black. I think that's super cool. Similarly, I love shiny Mega Gallade, which we'll see in Generation 4. However, also, I love the kind of comically large lightning bolt on Manectra. I do wish I liked the Mega Evolutions for Sharpedo and Camerupt a little bit more. Mawile getting a second head and huge power is kind of insane. And the primal reversions for Groudon and Kyogre and Mega Rayquaza are obviously fantastic. But no, it is either Mega Banat or Mega Absol. And here's the thing, depending on the day, I will tell you, if I'm making this video today, I say Banat. If I make it tomorrow, I probably say Absol. I think I'm gonna say Banat, because I feel like it is a natural. I mean, they are both natural evolutions. Why doesn't Mega Absol have part Fairy type though? Why does it not become Dark Fairy? I don't know. I think that would have made so much sense for it. You know, because it gets the wings, it gets the new like kind of look to it. I think it would have been super cool for it to have had Fairy type. Or if they want to commit to it being super edgy, I could have just given it one wing. Just saying. But no, it's going to be Banat. Once again, just to go through what I said with Banat earlier, it hits really hard. It's very slow, which is very unfortunate. I wish it was faster than it is, but I absolutely adore Mega Banat. It's Houndoom, Banat, and Absol are my top 3 for Mega Evolutions just in general. They are easily my top 3 for that. Moving on to Legendaries, and let's be real, Regis, out of the way. Latios, out of the way. Jirachi, gone. Deoxys, no chance. Okay, special mention to XD001 for being very cool. But it's Groudon, Kyogre, and Rayquaza. Let's be real here. The weather trio, absolutely clear here. And this leaves me with a question. Which one do I like most? And the simple answer to that question is, I like them all about equally. However, when I was a kid, I bought Pokemon Ruby, so I'm gonna say Groudon. And when the remakes were coming out, I chose Omega Ruby, because I think Groudon is my favorite of the 3, just by like maybe the tiniest amount. They're all so close. I love all 3 of those Pokemon. It's probably my favorite trio, maybe. Like the ones from Gen 4 and 5 are also pretty close, but Gen 3 is, I don't know, Groudon, Kyogre, and Rayquaza are a perfect trio. But with that, we are now done with Generation 3. So I'm now done with Gen 3. So we have, just to run through one more time, Exploud, Torkoal, Ludicolo, Sceptile, Manectric, Walrein, Breloom, Seviper, Flygon, Swellow, Nelly said Seviper again, Grumpig, Armaldo, Lunatone, Banat, Salamence, Absol, Aggron, Gardevoir, Mudkip, Mega Banat, and Groudon. So next time we'll be moving on to Generation 4, Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum. And also, technically, I guess, Heart Gold, Soul Silver. I mean, technically there's also Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl, but let's not think about those. Okay, so I'm going to have to end off today's episode here. Next time we'll be going through Generation 4. Feel free to once again, I'll have this linked in the description. Feel free to tell me yours. And as always, feel free to leave a comment or click any buttons down below if you feel so inclined. And I will hopefully see you all next time for, well, more of Gen 4. Okay, thanks for watching. Later.